Hey kids, it's England here, and I've got to tell you, Cal Exit is the gift that keeps on giving. My goodness gracious, is this comic book bad. And it's bad in ways that make somebody who has chosen this particular path very, very happy. My birthday has come early, ladies and gentlemen. If you haven't heard of Cal Exit, basically it's the idea some Californians want to secede from the Union. And they believe they can do so, and it's even mentioned here because California is the fourth largest economy in the world. I don't think it would work because I think very soon after they secede, they'll be stomped like a narc at a biker rally. However, the thought and the new movements for Cal Exit kind of piqued the interest of writer Matteo Pizzolo, and he came up with a story. And now there's some writings in the back. He does do a little bit of a summary, and he says that, well, if California exited, there would be a bit of a civil war because the politics aren't as clear-cut liberal as we think. The big cities are liberal, but outside of the cities, it gets more conservative. And that is the basis of this story, the civil war that's going on inside of California. And we have the book opening up along a large fence with a guard that's wearing a suit that says Homeland. Welcome to the Wes and Smitty Show on Voice of America Radio Network, broadcasting to all our fellow Americans here in occupied Los Angeles. Yeah, thanks for joining us. We're sweating through another day of record-setting temperatures here in the Southland, and I'm sure you're all feeling pretty freaking agitated about the electricity rationing when you want to be pumping those ACs. Well, looks like things might finally be turning around on that front. That's right, we're excited to report the Prez himself is set to visit California. Some very promising news. Here's what he had to say about the upcoming trip. And of course, wanting to stay on topic and treat this with an even hand, we have a picture of the president and he doesn't look like anybody we know. I'm not going to let murderers and illegals hold you down. Those tent villages growing from the coastline to the desert, they're like a cancer full of terrorists. Well, I'm coming and we're gonna shovel them all up and lock them in a dumpster so tight you won't even believe it. It's been 2 big league years since this nation re-elected me, and I realized California wasn't smart enough to side with the winner, but I'm still gonna take care of all you citizens. Already the heroes of our U.S. National Guard in a coalition strike alongside the Bunkerville militia have seized control of the Hoover Dam back from the Pacific Coast sister cities. Finally, we can once again control the flow of water to sway the hearts and minds of Californians. Well, I gotta give him credit. He did say big league. I don't know who heard bigly, but that really did take off, didn't it? That is just incredibly exciting, isn't it, Smitty? Yeah, I know a lot of our listeners are feeling holed up waiting for law and order to finally arrive and clear out the black-masked young terrorists who've run Los Angeles to the brink. Fuck the Pacific Coast Sister Cities Alliance. Don't bleep that out. Can't imagine the FCC will fine us for that one. That's right, the Prez is coming and he's finally gonna make California American again. Hey, actually, that would make a good hat. Get those MACA hats started. Also, it's obviously the whole sister city thing is based on Antifa and the Black Bloc, and the guys on the radio are posting them as the villains. However, the story very quickly shows you who are the villains and the heroes on their side, and it's not Antifa being the bad guys. This is just a map of where all the cities are that have seceded. All the red spots in California are the secession cities. Now let's revisit one of the more fascinating stories we were among the first to report here at the Wes and Smitty Show. Apparently, certain retail chains are boycotting the First Daughter's new line of lingerie. And of course, this is playing off of the fact that there were store chains that wouldn't carry Melania Trump's merchandise anymore. And if you want to know anything about political bias in the media, we have legitimately got a hot first lady. Definitely the best looking since Jackie, but nothing's heard of it. Remember when Michelle Obama got into the White House and the fashion magazines, everything wanted her on the cover? We have a model first lady. She was a model. And you're not getting that anywhere. And she's an immigrant. She should be their darling right now. You know, Smitty, stories like this one would seem like dumb jokes if they weren't just so gosh darn true. Federal investigators are currently looking into whether or not this collusion can be broken up under antitrust laws. I'm turning this off. It's depressing. We need to keep up with the news, depressing or not. It's not fucking news. Still, important to know what's happening. A little touch upon the fake news, maybe? Or is it that the news was fake even before Trump came along? So the two as yet unidentified people hear and bump at the door, and they're arguing, is it a squirrel, is it not a squirrel, squirrels don't throw rocks, that sounded like a rock, that kind of thing. And we still have no idea who these people are. The dad investigates, goes out into the dark, and a young lady grabs a hold of him, yells daddy, so obviously she's the daughter, and she plays the pronoun game, so we don't even know what's chasing her. They're after me, they're going to get me, you must help me, what did you do? Is it worse than the last time? So we know something happened before that was bad, we know somebody who was after her. We don't know if she's the bad guy or the good guy because we have given no information. But we know these are the good guys because we met them first, and we know the others are the bad guys because the father doesn't have to be told who they are to understand who's chasing her. And we're back to the pronoun game. Even though we have now learned the identity of the young daughter who ran up, because he goes, hey Zora, the daughter and I'm gonna guess this is another daughter or father, it might be husband and wife, but they're drawn to look like different ages, are still playing the is she okay? You could just say, hey, is Zora okay? Was that her? But they don't say that. They play the pronoun game. Then there's a knock at the door, and the door swings open, and you see basically stormtroopers and Darth Vader. I mean, that's what they're going for. You got the faceless bad guy along with the menacing, what obviously will be a villain. He asks them, you do know who I am? He says yes. Although, once again, we still have no names to these characters. But just to make sure that he is the bad guy, he says, oh, okay, then you know my reputation. It's very well earned. What's the expression? I'm the best at what I do, but what I do is just truly deplorable. Something like that. So right away, you know that the writer is picking sides on this particular argument. Trump supporters are the evil empire, and the people who are for Cal Exit are the plucky rebellion. And so the comic book decides to go from awkward and strange to absolutely stupid in its own politics and ideas. So California has separated from the United States. You have the pro-exit and the anti-exit people fighting in California. But with these words here, they actually mention that California is now its own sovereign land. So he says, I'm looking for a young refugee named Zora Donato. She needs help. Have you seen her? And the guy says, McNulty. What? Her name is Zora McNulty. See, the adoption you're referring to took place in California, and though it was many years ago, while California was still part of the United States, the U.S. government no longer recognizes California law. Thus, she was never adopted, and thus she is not a citizen, and thus she is an immigrant. Okay, now here's the thing. If they are now separated in their own sovereign land, then it would not be oh God, this is so stupid. This would be the same as if an American went into a foreign country, said, yeah, we don't recognize your laws, and then started kidnapping. That is how this writer is seeing the United States government at this time. Just remember, because of the deplorables line, the bad guys represent people who followed or voted for Trump. Remember, because of the whole basket of deplorables thing. But I still can't wrap my head around this logic. Okay, you're a sovereign nation. America doesn't recognize your laws. No kidding. However, California would still recognize the fact that that person was adopted. Even if Cal Exit never happened here, it would have been recognized. Now that it's just California, it's still California law, it would be recognized. And I know what he's going for. He's trying to get with the whole bit about, oh, you don't like people who are not American. You want a president that takes care of Americans first? You must be a racist kind of thing. But that's not what he's saying. He's saying that California law isn't California law because California is not part of the United States.
Stupid! You're so stupid!
Oh, and he stabs the guy and says if what turns out to be the wife doesn't answer the questions, he'll bleed out or they could take him to the hospital. And this is a waste of a page. It's a big black page with one word bubble in it. I don't know when comic book creators decided they wanted to make movies with comics and they started doing this whole intermission thing or the James Bond entrance. Black Mask Studios presents Cal Exit, Chapter 1. If you want to scream, scream with me. Now, and they've got a sign here. It looks like Vegas. And there's a guard in front of an elephant and a sign that says, "Now let me welcome everybody to the Wild Wild West, a state that's untouchable like Elliot Ness." So, figuratively, nothing happens on this page. A guard is in front of this elephant icon and another dude climbs up, doesn't get any help from the guard, calls him a dick, and then asks why he's in front of it. The guard never bothered to ask. He's like, "Really?" And he says, "I'm not here guarding an elephant." And then something funny happens. The writer decides to quote Wikipedia, but only the part of Wikipedia that serves the purpose. "Livermore, what's the elephant statue at the corner of Hollywood and Highland?" The radio squawks. "From the 1916 D.W. Griffith film Intolerance, widely regarded as one of the great masterpieces of the silent era, as well as one of the first art films. Intolerance was made partly in response to criticism of Griffith's previous film, The Birth of the Nation, 1915, which was criticized by the NAACP and other groups as perpetuating racial stereotypes and glorifying the Ku Klux Klan. However, if you continue that Wikipedia page, it was not, as is commonly implied, an apology for the racism of his earlier film. In numerous interviews, Griffith made clear that the film's title and overriding themes were meant as a response to those who he felt had been intolerant of him in condemning Birth of a Nation. Better focus on what serves the narrative instead of the story, I think. Yet, it continues. So the guy asks him, "So, well, how do you like that? You're defending a Klan icon." Even though, it just said that it wasn't. It's not a Klan icon. Well, for argument's sake, if it was a Klan icon, how would you feel about defending it? Well, it's like if you're eating an apple. Well, how do you like eating that onion? It's not an onion. Well, you know what? If it was an onion, how would you feel about eating it?
Stupid! You're so stupid!
I have a feeling I'm going to get some workout from that clip. Especially if this book continues to change the fact for its argument. So basically the guard says, "Yeah, shut up, just give me my drugs." And he says, "Why do you need all these antidepressants? Don't you have health care?" The guard says, "Yeah, but if I buy as much as I do from you, then it'll be suspicious." And finally on this page we actually get to a little bit of story that really makes sense. The drug dealer asks the guard, what about his boots? He'll trade him some drugs for it. He says they're government issued. Well, we don't have that in California. Yeah, you do. He says the big question is, are you taking the drugs because you're made to guard an elephant? He goes, no, the big question is, why did California secede in the first place? Calling for the immediate deportation of all immigrant civilians not recognized as U.S. citizens. What the fuck, Jamal? California declared itself a sanctuary state. You said plenty more. But Livermore thought you said Livermore, so he's answering the question. Leading to an internal conflict between liberal metropolitan cities and more conservative rural regions. Well, what's the command? It's gonna draw attention. U.S. government cut off resources. The off command is buggy. We gotta just let him finish. Fucking shit, Jamal. Cities formed the Pacific Coast Sister City Alliance to provide aid. It's almost done, resulting in the armed occupation by the U.S. National Guard. You build that thing yourself? Yeah, I mean, it's just a drone with an AI personal assistant attached, but I modded him up. Fuck them all up, you mean. Whatever, asshole. So anyway, if you didn't get that throughout all the dialogue and everything, oh God, this is... I try to keep politics out of it. So I'm trying to figure out a way to say this next part without offending anybody, but here you go. The entire reason for California secession is because they perceive something that is just not true. The people who would go to the great lengths that this book is suggesting are the ones that see everything through a haze of hatred. They have hatred for their fellow Americans because they think their fellow Americans are filled with hate. They believe that wanting to take care of United States citizens before the world is a bad thing. And in this case, wanting people to follow our laws is cause enough to secede from the Union. But to want to secede because you think that when somebody says illegal immigrant, they mean all immigrants, legal or not? Or worse, if you're so prejudiced that you believe all Latino immigrants are here illegally?
Stupid! You're so stupid!
Then the drug dealer gets mad and says, screw you, man, what did you ever build? And the guard says, a bird feeder. But one time we were watching the birds and one of them starts twitching and getting sick, found out that an ex-boyfriend of my girlfriend's poisoned the bird feeder to get back at her. And he says, wow, that's screwed up. And then he notices blood on his shoulder and that the guard's been killed. Jamal stands up. Wait, don't shoot. It's just me, Jamal, everybody's favorite neighborhood courier. And then Jamal removes the guard's helmet and then feeds him his depressants and steals the boots. Okay, gang, this is going to be the end of the very first video on this, and I'm just cutting it into a couple of videos because there's 40 pages of story, and I just hit page 16. I was going to hit and go until page 20, but I just saw where narratively page 20 would have taken us, and I figure this is actually narratively a better spot to end it. And here's a big problem I found out. The story just got started. It's 16 pages in, and we really just began the story. Think about all the information we received. We got to know a couple of characters, not very well. The only character we actually really got to know was the guard that just got killed in Jamal. We don't know who the father at the beginning was. We got to see very basically that the bad guy's a bad guy. And we know that there's a girl who always gets into trouble, but we don't actually know her motivations or anything along those lines. So the only character we are in any way, shape, or form to understand is Jamal, who was an asshole, and a dead guard. That's it. And the story just got started. The only information we were given in the scene between the guard and the drug dealer even was how the Cal exit came into being, and that could have been told through the radio station that began at the beginning during that one page that showed us where the map was. It could have been some sort of, oh, and remember 1 year ago when we did this and this is why it happened, blah, 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 yada, yada. But it didn't. Instead, 16 pages for absolutely nothing to happen so far. And there's 24 more pages worth of story to go. And I say story because after that, I've got interviews and their author's own ideas behind the story itself to go through, and that's going to be a different video. Okay, but that all depends on how you guys receive this video. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Let me know in the comments below. If you talk about the politics, please keep civil. And I know I'm a hypocrite because I used the "you're so stupid" clip about 3 times, and once was kind of towards the far left. And I say far left because I know not every liberal wants to have California exit, although every conservative does. Thud-ump-ump. Anywho, I know I did that, but still I'm trying to keep peace in the comment section. So if you talk about politics, not the people. And don't forget to let me know if you guys want to continue this book or not, because we have not even scratched the surface of cringe, and it's just... there's a lot more coming, guys. And if you don't mind, go on over to our Patreon page or our VidMe page. The VidMe has a tip jar. And toss $1 into the till. It would definitely help keep this train rolling. We definitely would appreciate it. So much so we are creating patron-only content for those who subscribe there. And it's very much appreciated. We would like to thank those who are already patrons. And to everyone, thank you very, very much for watching.